Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of Optics in Action, where we spotlight business leaders with vision and clarity. And today I'm honored to have with us Barry Labov. He is the CEO and founder of LaBov Marketing and Communications. Did I pronounce all that right? Did I get all that right, Barry?
You did it just perfectly. I thank you so much because so many people look at that name and go, oh my gosh, what is that?
Exactly. I get I'm known by some of my friends as Ryan Weiss because sometimes they're like, "You're a Weiss or you Weiss? What are you?"
Yeah.
And yes, last names are an important thing. So excellent. Well, Barry, welcome to this episode, and I'm excited to hear a little bit about your purpose. Why do you do what you do? And then we'll get into the what and how and stuff like that. So, what are you so passionate about in terms of marketing and communication? Why do you do this?
Well, Ryan, it's kind of related to what you talk about in your podcasts, which I think are great. And that is what my company does is we very often will work with manufacturers, although we work with companies that you may be very familiar with, Harley Davidson and Macallan Scotch, but we work with a lot of manufacturing firms as well that are B2B. We find the uniqueness or differentiation in their products or their services, their technology, etc. We discover it, we name it, and we help them promote it. But what's really important, and this dovetails with one of your biggest passions, we connect it to their employees. We make sure their employees are rallying around it. So what happens is, in a nutshell, we discover the magic that's been sitting there, and then we rally and celebrate it with the employees. Then, of course, we launch it to the world. So that's my passion, finding that magic that's already there. So I don't create it. I just find it with my company. And then we just expound on it and share this message with the world.
I love it. And employee engagement and client engagement, engaging people is one of the core things that I am absolutely passionate about, as you know. And I shared with you a little bit earlier, this word optics that came to me is about the alignment of people and process. That optics has two definitions: this study of light, the technical stuff, like your color separations on a logo or whatever, right? All the technical stuff that goes into creating a logo and creating marketing and creating all these things. But then there's the perceptions of people as a second definition, and engaging people is really what it's all about. If we just build technical things that don't help people, who cares, right? And so I think it's so impactful what you're talking about there.
Well, I think what you said is so right because it's very easy for business people because, we're all being pressured and we're running, we're on the treadmill and we think, okay, we're going to go mark a few things off our box. Okay, so in my client's case, we're going to look at a logo. Okay, we got to get this. Okay, here we go. Okay, let's go, let's go. The reality is our employees, and sometimes even it goes beyond that. It could be your suppliers. It could be also your distribution network. If they are left behind and they have no idea why you're doing what you're doing in certain areas. In my life, it would be the marketing or the positioning or why you're naming this, or why did you have this launch come out? If all that is going on without it all being synchronized and celebrated, you're missing 80% of the value. You're doing all the work though. You're working hard, but you're not getting the results. And I think it's really important for your audience because your audience, best I can tell, because I mean, obviously I don't see them, but the audience you have are really hardworking men and women who are nose to the grindstone, who have pressure and have to perform.
Yeah.
And it's very easy to keep moving through and not stop and say, no, wait a minute. If I rally everybody, if we celebrate this, if my employees understand everything we're doing, there are a couple things that are going to happen, maybe more than a couple. We're going to get better retention. Employees, just like with your programs, Ryan, employees start to think, wait a minute, I actually have a significance here. I actually do something of value.
Yeah.
My gosh, okay. They're more likely to stay. They also are more likely to do a better job because now, wait a minute, we're doing this. We're helping here. We're doing this. The other thing is your distribution network, your dealers, if you have them, they're going, okay, wait a minute, this company actually has some value. I kind of feel excited representing them. And then ultimately, yes, we will see that in sales. Oh, and
Yeah.
by the way, this is really great too. You might be able to charge a premium, charge a little more because, now you've identified what you're doing that's unique and you can actually present it to people. So it
Yeah.
helps everybody. And I love the leaders that are out there. I want them to be able to enjoy the fact that they will have employees and dealers who are excited and who are
Yeah.
supporting them, which I know emotionally you might say, well, it doesn't count. I got to get these numbers in, but it does count for you, the leader.
It does. And I think, we're living in this world of AI, right? AI is the buzzword right now. And I think when I think about technology, when I think about AI, when we think about marketing and and logo creation and processes and all of these types of technical things, they're really only useful, in my opinion, they're really only useful to the extent that they help people solve problems, or to the extent that they help people to grow and do something better, more efficiently, more effectively than they otherwise could have. And I think what I really have kind of heard in the differentiation of what makes you and LaBov different in terms of marketing is you're looking to engage people. You're looking to engage the employees of an organization and build off of that, rather than saying, well, we're going to build a cool looking logo. Why? Because it's going to be cool, right? Or it's going to be something different. No, how do we engage and harness the energy of the culture and the organization to really evolve the organization to, fulfill some purpose or to drive something forward? Am I understanding that right? Or am I missing? Did I just speak way out of line?
No, no, what you're saying is right on target. My new book, which will be out in a couple months, it will be distributed by Simon and Schuster, is called The Power of Differentiation. Its subtitle is what you just were explaining. It's Win Hearts, Minds, and Market Share. People have to have a significance. And my message is not a soft message. If you think, oh, he's a softie, I'm not a soft guy on that stuff. It pays you back. It's what I would call it. I wouldn't call it soft. I'd call it smart. Here's an example. I was walking through an ambulance factory of one of my clients, and it's a phenomenal company. This is a great client. And I talked to one of the young guys on the line, and I said, "What do you do?" And he said, "I plug in wire harnesses." Now, all the leaders out there, this is important. I said, okay, you do what? He goes, I plug in wire harnesses. Once in a while, I'll tighten a bolt, and that's all I do. But I'm going to leave for 25 cents an hour more down the street to work at a marshmallow factory. And I said, okay, well, before you make your decision, just a couple things. All these ambulances going down the line will last what? I said, 10 years? He goes, yeah, they have a lifespan of 10 years. I said, great. In those 10 years, there will be over 100,000 people inside those ambulances, either the driver, the technicians, EMTs, we call them, the patients, and sometimes the patient's family. Now, on top of all that, every year there are 4,000 ambulance accidents because they're going through intersections and they're getting hit. I said, you, in effect, in each one of these ambulances going down the line, are protecting the lives or sometimes saving the lives of 100,000 people per ambulance. And he looked at me and he goes, well, I never thought I was in the life-saving business. And I said, maybe you are in the life-saving business. So the message is this. Now this young man realizes he should probably plug that wire harness in correctly.
Yeah.
It is an important thing. He probably will tighten the bolts, but I'm going to bet on this guy because I think he's going to also stop the line if something's not right, because after all, we're saving 100,000 people. Come on, we got to take care of this thing. I also predict that he will be a higher retention candidate. He will be more likely to be retained at that company. And he just might be a guy that's a good cheerleader to bring more people in.
Yeah. And
All of that pays off.
and it might impact his life. I mean, like when we think about a vision, a purpose of why we're doing the things we're doing, it might impact his life as well, right? I mean, if he starts envisioning that, hey, this is important and this is why my job is important, I'm impacting the lives of others, I'm impacting a company. The opportunity that he has to view it through that new lens, view it through a new perception, enables him to possibly start to become a higher performer in that facility, leading to more promotions for him, leading to changing the when we understand the purpose behind what we're doing as an organization, what we're doing as an individual to impact that organization and ultimately fulfill a vision, this becomes incredibly powerful. And so I love that you share that story. It's about connecting emotions with something that seems mundane or something that seems technical, but in fact is super critical. I recently watched a video about Boeing and some of the challenges that they've been having culturally and with their design and pressures of politics in the organization and some of the impact that has ultimately happened as a result. And these are things that organizations and leaders really need to think about to make an impact on the world.
Well, Ryan, you said something I've never thought of it exactly this way. So I thank you for this. We, as leaders, allow our employees to choose their identity. And in the case of this young man, is he just another working stiff making 17 bucks an hour? Or is he a person helping to save lives? Yeah. And that's on us as leaders. And what my company does is we find the uniqueness and differentiation in the products and services so that the leaders can say, hey, this is why we put extra steps in this safety process. This is why we do these extra things. This is why we pay extra money for a certain ingredient in our bread, whatever it is, because we believe blank. That gives our employees a reason to care. And also those of us who have distribution networks, it gives our distribution network a reason to differentiate us and says, hey, oh yeah, they're all the same. This one's a little more, that one's a little cheaper. It gives them something to work with. And that's what our jobs are. We're not, the leaders I work with, sometimes they'll talk to me at first and they go, look, I need you to create a brand. We need to create something. I said, I'm not going to create your brand. Yeah. I will discover your brand. You already are doing things that are evidently good enough that you've been in business for 5 years, 10 years. Some of our clients have been in business 124 years. They've been through 2 pandemics, not one, 2 pandemics, the sinking of the Titanic, 2 world wars, and they're going, gee, I don't know. I don't think we do anything unique. And I'm going, you've done something. You gotta find it. And they go, we don't see anything. And that's some of the joy in the life of the people that work with me, which is we go in and we find it. But again, like I said to all our leaders out there, it's great, find it, but celebrate it first with your employees.
I think it's I love this conversation because I think one of the things as we look at helping organizations with process, we're not generally creating processes. The processes are already existing, right? The manufacturer is already making tools and they're making dies and they're extruding plastic and they're cooling the plastic down and they're forming it and they're shipping it and they're taking orders. They have a process, right? The process already exists. What we're doing is we're discovering the challenges that employees are having in making that system work effectively and efficiently. And it's not about creating something new. The documentation becomes new documentation, things like that. But what we're doing is we're discovering where the pain is, where the problems are, and helping connect those dots for those teams of people. And I think that's what gets me so excited, right? It's when I get the local union president who's, the first time I met him was flipping his book going, "What are you doing here?" 6 months later, looking at me, coming up to me and shaking my hand and saying, "I like when you show up because good things happen." And it's about helping discover what pain they're feeling and solving those problems. And so I love that branding story that you just shared, that you're not creating something new. You're not creating a new brand for them. You're discovering the differentiators in the heart and soul of what makes them what they are, so that they can disseminate that, they can communicate that well.
I think what you're doing, Ryan, is you're also discovering what is most important and most differentiating in your clients' processes and products. And you're making sure those are being protected, because if there's a lot of other interference on top of what they're supposed to do and what is making them the best company they are, then that is in the way of them being their very best. And you're clearing out a lot of the things that get in the way.
Yeah, exactly. For example, I had one client where we started looking at their customer service process, and they told me that their billing process, it was their billing process that they're like, "This is taking way too long." Well, billing should be very easy, right? If we have the number of parts, the ship to address, the bill to address, if we have those pieces of information, billing, invoicing of a manufactured part should be incredibly easy. But what we did when we looked at the system of, from order entry to part production to shipping back to the customer service team again, we found that there were 5 different methods that orders were being entered on the front end of their process. And that was causing chaos through their whole system. It was causing pain for their manufacturing folks and their shipping folks and even the customer service folks doing the order entry. And as we streamlined that, the invoicing nobody even talks about invoicing anymore. It became so simple, but we look at the things that have happened throughout the core of the process, and it was discovering that this is the problem, the pain that you're actually feeling, enabling the employees to see that and solve that is what's so impactful. So tell me a
Well,
little bit
yeah.
more about how you do this with your clients. Do you have a process that you take them through? How do you typically work with a client?
Yeah, one of our differentiators is our process. So we call it brand reengineering. So again, back to the whole concept of, it's not, hey, we're going to turn you into something finally. No, we want our clients to be able to go to sleep at night, wake up in the morning and say, look, I'm going to be who I am, and it's going to be successful. Wouldn't that be great? So we have a 5-step process. 2 of the steps, no company in the world that I know of does. So basically what we do in less than 30 seconds, our first step is we will do an assessment of the brand through the human mind and mouth. So we're going to listen to customers and employees and leaders. We're going to look at the competition. So we'll find out what is there. We're going to listen to customers as they describe why they work with this company or why they stopped working with that company. Sometimes it's ex-customers we talk to. And we're listening in between the lines for special words. We're not asking them, on a scale of 1 to 5, do you like this company? We'll ask a few of those, but we're listening for the magic. We're looking for the nuggets of gold. Then our next step is one that nobody does. And if anybody does out there, I always say, please email me and tell me, because I'd love to talk with that company. We do what is known as a technical immersion. We go into the plant. We will look at every process, every unique technology, etc., services, everything, and find what we believe could be a unique differentiator for that company. We scour it, and we have fresh eyes, so we're looking at things for the first time. We'll be given a tour by the leaders and the engineering leaders, or if it's a service company, their technology leaders. We're then done with that. We present our findings and recommendations for differentiation. We then, at that point, will say, if you want to work with us past that point, great. If you want to take everything we just learned and our recommendations, you can go do it in-house or take it to somebody else. Most of the time, they decide to work with us because we now know so much
Yeah.
We then go to the next stage, which is where most people start, which is why most branding never works. We then look at, do you need a new website? Do you need a new image, a new logo, etc.? And we choose the words carefully when we look at what your slogan is. As an example, there are 400,000 words in the English language. We think it's very important to choose the right ones. So we stay away from the generic words, like quality, value, and price. I mean, come on, everybody promises the same stuff. So we go through that phase of execution and we get everything ready. We have the new image. It's all ready to be launched. And then our fifth step is the launch. But the first part of that step is celebrating it, not just telling the employees, celebrating it with the employees so that, you know what? The day after you celebrate it with them and then you launch it out there, every one of them is ready to talk about it and they're going to fight for it. They're going to be in the trenches fighting for your new ad campaign, your new launch or whatever. So it's 5 steps. The first 3 steps will take 60 days. And in a 60-day period of time, we discover the magic. And I have yet to find, we've conducted this over 100 times in the last decade. I've yet to find a client that after the 3 steps, and we say, here are differentiators, there has not been a client that has said, I don't hear anything here that we think is good. Most of the time they go, I can't believe that, we've been doing that for years. We just did it because we've been doing it. And we go, yeah, but it's brilliant.
Yeah.
And you don't have to change it or buy new machinery. You just have to position it and let people know about it.
Yeah. There's a reason I think we're connecting it. Like, look, I've been in manufacturing for a huge part of my career. I'm all over the world, in Asia, in Europe, in North America, South America. And I've been in lots and lots of manufacturing plants. And so I will say I've seen marketing folks in 2 situations, right? In manufacturing plants, neither of which is what you just described. One of them is in the print industry. A lot of marketing folks come and do print approvals, the print approval process, right? Looking at the approvals and color matching and all these types of things. A lot of marketing folks in that part. The second time is sometimes they come in to do video of a specific area of a process or something that they might use in a campaign or something like that. But I've never seen the marketing team come out and really try to understand the business and the process and the systems and the people and the manufacturing in the context of finding what's unique about the organization. I've never seen that. Somebody out there in my audience may prove us wrong, but I have never seen it in thousands of factories I've been in around the world, in meetings and situations. I don't think I've ever seen it. That's really
what we say, Ryan, your brand lives inside your product or processes. And I want the audience just to stop for a second. What did he say? Your brand lives inside your products or processes. If you are a brilliant engineering company, your product is probably engineered pretty darn brilliantly, right? And we need to say, here's why it's brilliant. Here's what it does that no one else does. This is this unique component that no one else has. We need to shine a light, as you say, with optics. We have to shine a light on that because you're doing it. You've already spent the millions of dollars on the machinery. This is cheap comparatively. And it's also a point of pride. If you're an engineering-based company and you're now saying, hey, look what we did here. Look how great this is. Your engineering team's feeling pretty proud too. And you're probably going to attract even better engineers down the road because they're psyched, because they know they're going to a hotbed of great innovation at that company, and it is celebrated.
Yeah. I love it. Well, I love it. This has been a really, really great conversation. So who is your target client? Are they business to consumer, like brands like the Harley Davidson? Are they business to business type organization? Who do you typically work with the most? So you've kind of mentioned a little of both, I think.
Well, we do work with both. We work with some very famous marquee brands, and we work with them in certain areas of training and dealer development, for example.
Ah,
As
okay.
far as developing brands, we work very, very much with manufacturing, B2B, industrial companies. A lot of companies that, if you're at a dinner party and say, oh, we do blank, some people go, that's not too exciting. Okay, we find that exciting.
Yeah.
That's exciting to us because you're doing something that a lot of times people don't even know is done. And we think that's a story that needs to be told. So we work quite often with manufacturers, as I mentioned, over 100 brand reengineering assignments in the last decade. 83 of them were with manufacturers that are in the B2B industrial space.
Very good. Well, hey, Barry, it has been an absolute pleasure having you on this episode of Optics in Action. Again, Barry Labov. How do people get in contact with you if they want to learn more?
Well, my last name is Labov, Labov. So our website's pretty simple to get to, labov.com. There also is a barrylabov.com too. So both of those are fine. I suggest go to our website, labov.com, take a look. You'll see that you can click for pre-order information on my book that will be coming out. We're not going to sell it to you right away, but we'll let you know when it's coming out. So just click there. And then I urge you, send a message, and it doesn't have to be a transactional message. It could be, hey, you mentioned such and such. What do you think of that? Hey, what do you think about such and such? I get dozens of messages every week from people all over the world, and it's a great way to network and make friends. So go ahead and do it. I'm happy to go reach out and respond to any questions.
I love it. Well, thank you again, Barry, for being on this episode of Optics in Action, where we spotlight leaders with vision and clarity. It's very clear to me that you have both of those, and I really appreciate your time today.
Ryan, it's been a pleasure. I love what your company does, and I wish you continued great success in the future.
Thank you.